Hi, hello, vanakkam, and welcome back to yet another episode on your favorite Little Slaw YouTube channel. So today in this video, we're going to see about how to analyze and recommend the best performance testing tool because I got this question several times in our chat where the subscribers or the masters were asking me that how can I analyze and how can I recommend the best performance testing tool. And there are several scenarios where the manager might have a tool in his mind and he wanted it to get it justified. So today in this video, we're going to see about, we're going to first understand the requirements, and then we're going to do some research tool capabilities. I mean, like we're going to see how are we going to approach this part in terms of finding or analyzing and recommending the best performance testing tool. So it can be a load runner, it can be a JMeter, Neoload, K6 Gatling, but we're going to identify how and which tool will suit your testing needs. So firstly, we have to understand the requirements. So this is the first step and the very important step that defines that why we should choose a tool. So the reason behind why your tool selection. So this actually sets the foundation. And when we talk about the types of applications, so are we going to check that which type of application are we going to test, whether it's a web application or a mobile application or a desktop application or an API. And the tools vary in terms of the ability to simulate different technologies. For example, JMeter works well with, we all know it works well with HTTPS, WebSockets, APIs, and APM is APM, APPIUM. APM is a good tool for mobile UI testing, and LoadRunner can handle SAP, Citrix, and other enterprise protocols. And in fact, JMeter supports TCP testing, Neoload supports a web and SAP testing. So every tool has its own set of benefits and advantages, and we have to understand the protocols. Which protocols are we going to use? Like for example, is that going to be HTTP or HTTPS or WebSockets or FTP or JMX, etc. So whatever it is, so we have to understand the protocols, and that's the key, because some tools may not support custom protocols or they may require any add-ons or plugins. So that is the reason we have to understand the types of application. That's the first thing, and then the protocols used, and then the performance goals. So what is our SLA target? SLA, I mean the service level agreement target. So how many users should the system support, and what is the acceptable response times, and what is your throughput requirement? So when I say how many users, where we have like a tool like load or new load that has a steady support in terms of the agents or in terms of the local host where it supports. But when it comes to JMeter, we need to work on the distributed testing, and that's the reason we need to consider the users. I mean, how many users do we need to support, and what is the acceptable response times and the throughput, and then the budget constraints. So we have to clarify that if we have a zero cost preference, or do we have any funds, or do we have for the enterprise tools. Say for example, if you're looking for tools like LoadRunner or Neoload or Tricentis, it can be expensive but may save time with the built-in features. But again, we do have tools like JMeter, K6 Gatling, which are like open source, but we need to add on more time for that, and there will be a steep learning curve when you're using tools like JMeter, K6, and um, Gatling. So the next thing is researching the tool capabilities. Now that we know your needs, so you have to map them against your tool features. Say for example, starting from your protocol support. So you have to check that can the tool, whatever the tool may be, whether it can support all the protocols that is used in your application, and then you have to check for the scripting ease. So when I say scripting ease, you have to check that does the tool use a GUI, which is the drag and drop, or does it require any programming like Java, JavaScript, Python, C, C++, whatever the programming. So we have to check for the scripting ease, because some of us would be a little bit of having a mindset that, okay, let me do everything with the drag and drop. I do not want to make my hands dirty with the code. So in that case, you can actually choose tools like Neoload, which supports a completely drag and drop even for any logics. And then the next thing is your reporting capabilities. So you have to check whether your tool can produce detailed graphs, percentiles, error summaries, and trend analysis. And then the cloud compatibility and scalability. Nowadays, every tool comes up with the cloud compatibility. Say, for example, your load runner comes with Performance Center, and the new load comes with the new load web. K6 comes with K6 Studio. So every tool has its own set of cloud capability and scalability. So you have to check that can you run a distributed cloud-based load test? So tools like K6 Cloud, BlazeMeter, or Tricentis are supporting the cloud compatibility and the scalability. And moving on to the next part where we are going to analyze the user community and support. So we have to check for active community forums. So is the tool widely used, or Stack Overflow or Reddit full of relevant posts, right? So if we are facing any challenge in terms of scripting or in terms of how to analyze, yes. So in that case, yeah, we have to make sure. And again, tools like NeoLoad and LoadRunner have support. So if you raise it with them, so they normally come and support you for any queries. And apart from that, yes, just to add, it's not boasting, but just to add, I think most of the issues and challenges that you face in NeoLoad, LoadRunner, K6, JMeter, any performance testing tool, or any uh, tools like Dynatrace, you get support from Little Slaw YouTube channel. It's not official, but yeah, we do support for any of your questions or any of your queries. For that, you can join the WhatsApp channel, Little Slaw WhatsApp channel, and where you get the support. And when it comes to official support, yes, enterprise tools often offer premium support. So when you raise anything with them, they'll give you a premium support, which is like, like if it is like high priority, they'll get support you in like 12 hours, 24 hours, and in 1 week of time, they'll support and help you to fix the issue. And then we have the open source tools, which are rely more on documentation and the community help, like tools like JMeter and K6. Yes, we do get that. And availability of documentation. So does the tool offer clear, structured, and updated documentation? That's very important to check before we even pick the tool. And are there any video tutorials, blogs, and courses? Yes, I would say for NeoLoad, I think the maximum number of videos we even the NeoLoad website does not have, but we have the maximum number of videos for NeoLoad, for LoadRunner or JMeter. Yes, you can very well check that. There are like several boot camps that has been organized from our Little Slaw YouTube channel, so you can actually very well check that. We do have a lot of video tutorials on any of these performance testing tools. And then the evaluate the ease of use. So a tool that takes too long to master might slow our team down, right? So in that case, we have to check the user interface. So is it like beginner friendly? For example, JMeter has a UI but can become complex with plugins, and K6 is purely code based but offers clear JSON results. So it has both advantages and the challenges as well. So when it comes to scripting needs, tools like Gatling require Scala knowledge, which may not be ideal for all teams, or which may not be ideal for a project to be delivered very quicker or for freshers. And when it comes to learning curve, you have to choose the tools based on your team's skills, because GUI tools are very easier but are less flexible, and code-based tools are powerful but it needs programming language. So that's the reason. So you have to always think about that. And then the testing tools against application. So you have to start with the POC. So when I say POC, it's a proof of concept. So you have to run a proof of concept before finalizing any tools. Whenever your manager or anyone tells that to finalize a tool, just do a POC, right? So you have to try simulating a real scenario, for example, a login, search, or checkout flow, and observe for the metrics. So does the tool accurately capture latency, errors, throughput, etc., and check for setup complexity. That is like how long does it take to get a basic test running. So you have to analyze all these parts. And then when it comes to the resource usage, you have to check like whether the tools consume a lot of CPU or memory, and if it is important if running locally or at scale, because yeah, we all know LoadRunner, NeoLoad, JMeter, all of them consume really lots of memory. So any tool will actually be, I mean, K6 again, I would say like it when it comparing with any other tool, it consumes the very lesser memory. So that's really good. But other tools like JMeter, yes, it's really very, very bad in terms of consuming the memory. It like consumes a lot of memory because it's built on Java. And then the cost, the primary and the main factor. So you need to know how much you will be spending now and later. For example, the licensing models. Open source tools, which are free like JMeter, K6 OSS, and free tools like free premium like free base version, and you get a paid cloud version of K6 or BlazeMeter. And when it comes to paid enterprise, you get to know LoadRunner, NeoLoad, IBM Rational Performance Tester. These are tools. So when it comes to scalability pricing, you need to check whether do you prefer pay per user or per test, or like per current test, or you have to check for the floating licenses where you can use the license across several users while you're creating a script and while you're running a test. And then when it comes to flexibilities, you have to check that is the license per mission or is that per user, and does it support flexibility or floating licenses. That's what I was mentioning you a little bit early before some time. And then checking for integration options. So you have to make or you have to check that whether the testing does not happen in isolation or it must find it fit into your DevOps pipeline. That's very important nowadays because every testing tool has to be part of the CI/CD DevOps pipeline. So you have to check the CI/CD compatibility, and you have to check whether the tool plug into Jenkins, GitHub Actions, GitLab, CI, Azure DevOps, etc. And yeah, in fact, we have even seen several videos on JMeter. How does JMeter actually very well collaborate with any tools like it can be Jenkins, GitHub Actions, GitLab, Azure DevOps. It just merges like anything with other tools. Like K6 does it really well. And but again, I would say like LoadRunner and NeoLoad are like a little bit of struggling in terms of CI/CD compatibility. But yeah, they are actually coping up to make compatibility with CI/CD. And then the monitoring tool. So we have to check whether the tool can send metrics to Grafana, Prometheus, InfluxDB, or Energize or APM tools, because every business would need to see the values from all these APM tools to fix the bottlenecks. We have to check for cloud and container support. So we have to check whether we can run the test in Docker, Kubernetes, or serverless functions. And then we have to review the reporting feature. So we have to check for the reports, like how are we going to show the values to the stakeholders. So we have to check the dashboard quality. So when I say dashboard quality, we have to check that do the reports have intuitive charts, trends, percentiles and summaries, and granular active analytics, like can we drill down to endpoint until the last function, and then the error type or any user group. And we have to check for stakeholder readiness, which is like can non-technical stakeholders, yes, most of the stakeholders are like non-technical, so we have to make sure that whether the non-technical stakeholders can easily understand the results. It's not just only the technical people could understand the results, it's mainly the business people, right? And they are like non-technical, so they must understand the results. And then the export option, so we have to check for like can the reports be shared as PDFs or CSVs or links. That's another important point, because that's the one who is going to pay. So we have to make sure that the tool is understandable to them and they are good to give us the options. And then we have to have a side-by-side view to see the strengths and the weakness. In fact, we're going to see that in the upcoming slides. So we have to check like the tools, the protocol support, the ease of use, the reporting, the CI/CD readiness, and the cost and the community support. And we have to rank the tools. We have to assign scores like 1 to 5 for each category and sum the totals. And then we have to highlight the gaps. Like we can use color codes to mark the must-haves versus the nice-to-haves. And then finally, we have to create a recommendation. So like create a summary table where you can create or you can provide quick pros and cons for each shortlisted tools, and then you can create a final suggestion that we recommend so and so tool because it offers full HTTP WebSocket support and works well in CI/CD that has low cost and excellent reporting. So overall, you have to give a rationale that you have to back up your decision with the test results, the matrix scores, and the strategic fit. So in the upcoming video, upcoming slide, we'll see the comparison of all the tools, and we'll bring you the best tool in the market for you. So now we'll quickly do a comparison against the five leading marketing like testing tools like LoadRunner, JMeter, NeoLoad, K6, Gatling, and we'll look for the key features to help us understand their strengths and the weakness. So let me quickly break it down. So when it comes to protocol support, LoadRunner and NeoLoad excels in supporting a wide range of protocols like HTTP, SAP, Citrix, etc., which makes them suitable for complex enterprise applications. So if you're someone who is looking for these protocols like HTTP, SAP, Citrix, you can very well choose LoadRunner and NeoLoad. And if you're looking for some popular protocols like HTTP, JDBC, FTP, TCP, JMeter is a versatile tool for these use cases. And when it comes to K6 and Gatling, it has more limited protocol support and they are primarily focused on HTTP and APIs. Yes, and we all know that. So which makes them ideal for modern web applications, but they are not for legacy or specialized systems. And when it comes to ease of use, NeoLoad and K6 are considered very easy to use with intuitive interfaces and minimal scripting challenges, and LoadRunner and JMeter requires some learning curve due to the complexity of setup for scripting. And loader, for example, requires familiarity with C or Java, which you all know, and we have all faced that scenario where if you want to write a web correlation function, you have to write a web bridge, say param, but in Neoload, it's very quick, it's very easy. Yeah, so it depends on like the tools. And then the Gatling, which is moderately easy, but it requires knowledge of Scala, which may be a barrier for some testers. I won't say for everyone, but for some testers, yes. And then the performance and scalability. So LoadRunner and NeoLoad are enterprise grade tools which are designed for high scalability, which makes them suitable for testing applications with a large number of users. And JMeter, K6, and Gatling can also handle performance testing well, but the problem is they may require additional configurations. Yes, we all know that for JMeter we need distributed testing, or we need to use through Azure DevOps where we have to use multiple agents for infrastructure for very large scale test. And when it comes to scripting languages, LoadRunner supports scripting in C and Java, which can be powerful but may require technical expertise. And JMeter and Neoload rely on Java for scripting, JavaScript for scripting. K6 uses JavaScript completely, which is widely known and it is generally easier to work with. And Gatling, we all know, which leverages Scala, a more niche language which might demand more specialized knowledge. And then we do have the reporting and analytics. So LoadRunner and Neoload offer a detailed and customizable reporting capabilities where you can see lots of graphs, charts, you can customize them. It's very ideal for presenting insights to stakeholders. On the other hand, JMeter, K6, and Gatling provide more basic reporting features, but we can use plugins or we can use integrations, and they help sometimes to enhance the analytics. And then the main factor, the cost factor. Yes, LoadRunner and Neoload are commercial tools, with LoadRunner being the most expensive due to its extensive features. JMeter, K6, and Gatling are free, or we can call it as open source, which makes them cost-effective options for smaller teams or organizations with tighter budgets. And then we have the integration with CI/CD. Sorry, where am I? Sorry. The communities side integration support. Yeah, integration with CI/CD. So all the 5 tools integrate with CI/CD pipelines. Yes, they enable automate performance testing as part of the development process. So everything is nowadays every tool comes with that. So by default, we need them to be integrated. And then the community and support. So JMeter stands out with its highly active community and abundant resources online. Yes, even Little Slaw has a lots and lots of videos on every single plugin that we have in the market, every single parameters, correlation, every single thing. You all know that. And then, yeah, for even for LoadRunner and Neoload, there are professional support from the organization, from the company, but their communities are smaller compared to JMeter. And yes, for LoadRunner and Neoload, yes, Little Slug gives a lot of support. We do have a lot of videos and we do support in terms of fixing the issues. We have a channel which you all know where we are supporting the expertise, the experts in helping them to fix the challenges. And then K6 and Gatling have moderate community engagement support. It's because of the learning curve that it's required. And then the cloud and the container support. So all tools are compatible with modern cloud environment. Yes, with AWS, Azure, and containerized systems like Kubernetes, which makes them adaptable for cloud native applications. And then the setup and maintenance. So when it comes to Neolon and K6, they are easier to set up and maintain with straightforward installation and configuration process. And when it comes to LoadRunner, JMeter, and Gatling, they require more effort during setup, especially if you're configuring custom environments or integrating them into complex systems. So overall, this is what this is a layout matrix. So if in case if you can tick, or if you can do a check with all these, like the protocol support, like if what tools, what protocols are going to support, the ease of use, the performance and scalability, the scripting language that you and your team knows, and the reporting analytics, how well do you want it? Is that going to be detailed, or is it going to be basic, or is that going to be effective? And then the cost. So if you have cost, yes, you can really pitch in LoadRunner and Neoload. If you are looking for open source, you can look for JMeter, K6, and Gatling, and then the integration with CI/CD. Yes, I have told you, and in fact, we do have several videos on how to do the integration of CI/CD with various tools, and then the community support. Yep, every tool has its own level of support, and apart on top of that, Little Slide YouTube channel is supporting all these tools in a high manner. And setup and maintenance, yes, every tool has its own level of setup and maintenance, so you have to actually check with that. And with yes, with that we come to the end of this video, and I believe this video would be very useful to you. So until I see you all in our next video, it's bye bye from Sachin and your favorite Little Star YouTube channel. Take care and bye bye.